questions and answers of footprints in the sand. So let's say if we have look on those questions which are there in the think and write section, and that says, where is the author walking? With whom is the author walking? Is it day or night at this time? This prayer is actually a dream the author has. Right, yes or no? What did the author notice in the sand? Whom did the footprints belong to? What troubled the author? What did the author tell the Lord that she failed to understand? Now we are going to have a view of these questions and answers. Also, the artices. Let's begin. All right. So, when we are discussing the questions and answers, we have the first question here a little bit combined with the second part. So, it says in the poem, the author here is walking along a beach, and which serves as a symbol or representation of the author's journey, that is the life's journey. And the sand reflects the passage of time. The footprints mark the author's experiences and struggles. One night, the author had a dream in which the author was walking with God, represented by sets of footprints in the sand. What did the author notice in the sand? The author observed that sometimes there were two sets of footprints, and this belonged to the author and the other belonged to God. But when the author saw just one pair of footsteps in the sand, that is, footprints, there was a doubt and question in the author's mind. And that is too in the darkest and the depressing of the moments. What is the moral of the poem? The moral of the poem is that when we are going through our darkest and the most depressing moments, we sometimes fail to recognize the presence of God. However, if we remain patient and believe in ourselves, we will discover that we can overcome our difficulties with ease. This is due to the fact that the Almighty never deserts us or leaves us, as we are the Almighty's children. In one way or the other, the God or Almighty is always available to assist and mentor us. What did the author tell the Lord that he failed to understand? Because here some kind of confusion is existing in the author's mind, that I am not able to understand where did the second footprints go, and that too in my most difficult times. The things which troubled the author were that despite having promised by the Lord to never leave the author alone and be always there for the author whenever he or she needed him, that is the Lord, he or she, that is the author, had noticed that during the most difficult, troublesome times of the life, there were only one set of footprints in the sand. And this is something that was not understandable by the author or the poet, because the author felt as if God had abandoned or left him or her. What answer did the God give to the poet for the absence during his difficult times? Now, here we are repetitively using he, and you can preferably use she, because if you see the last answer, we have she referred in the question. So let's stick to she. Otherwise, whatever your teachers have done in school, that pronoun can be taken. Now, God told the poet that he had never left him or her in the times of adversity, and the footprints in the sand that the poet had once seen were those of God, not of the author. Because at that point of time, the author was being carried by God in God's arms. And those were the most difficult and trivial times, because God wanted to protect the author and guard from all obstacles and be by the author's side in the times of need. So this is the poem Footprints on Sand, a very beautiful poem. And if you look at the chapters end part, it says that there is no rhyme scheme in this poem. So when we talk about no existence of rhyme scheme, see, first and foremost, this poem is a free verse. That is the reason it has no rhyme scheme as A, B, C, D, whatever. And the next is that it is a dialogue between the author and the Almighty. Then we have artices. In the RTCs, it is very easy to answer the questions because the lines are explained stanza by stanza, and the overall crux is this, that in the poem, the relationship that is shared between a person who believes in God and how God is guarding, protecting all of us all the time and is standing next to us, rather, at times, even holding in his arms and taking us forward, is reflected in the poem. This is a poem which tells that God will never desert us, and that too, even if we are alone, nobody's there to help us, protect us. In fact, in the most trivial times, God will always be there for us. Many people have claimed to have penned this beautiful dialogue with God, and hence the author's name is not mentioned here. So, this was a brief crux, a glimpse of question answers, and a little bit understanding of what we have in Footprints in the Sand. This book belongs to class 7, and this can also be done in later classes. So let me know if you have other questions. Thank you.